Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. So what's today, the 14th? It's been busy. It's the 15th of July as I record this. What date was Trump's attemption? Was it a couple of days prior or 3 days prior? 11th, 12th? Can't remember. Anyway, I put it on community post like I think a day or two after. And we're here, so I'm going to try and keep this a bit short, and if we want to do a second reading we can do. This is going to have so many elements in it that is going to be confusing, but what I'm getting is that what we, and especially those in the US, will be informed of will be what they want to inform you of. So if that's half the story, quarter of the story, it's what they want to tell you of the story. I've seen a lot of thumbnails that were, was it an inside job? Was it an inside job or isn't it? And I'm not sure what is meant by that, by the thumbnail, and I haven't clicked on anything because I don't like looking into stuff because it sends me off track from what I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling getting something and then something else being said, and that might not be right, I get all overwhelmed. So I don't like to look into stuff. Now, and when I've looked into stuff, I will tell you. But I think it was clear from my videos that I felt energy was ramping up around stuff. And I did do an energy read yesterday, just some guidance for us. And let me tell you, today, I just want to be like, can you just leave me alone? Like, I am quite, do you know, how can I say this? Do you know when you just feel like idiots are being flown your way? Being flown your way by the universe. I'm not sure if anyone else feels this. Okay, so when did this happen? Trump's. And I predicted it, and I predicted he would have an attempted A. Okay, so I'm going to have to be careful with my words, otherwise, and this is why it's probably better to be on. There's going to be 2 tiers of memberships where there's going to be released videos earlier and additional stuff, and there's going to be a tier of priority responses. But I think on those, I can have a bit more room, and especially on Patreon. What date was it? Was it the 12th of July? Why am I feeling the 12th? I'm pausing because I've got here, the first thing that comes up is photos of him. Oh, that reminds me. I think there's going to be a lot of memes and t-shirts and caps of Trump when he stands up with his fist. And then there's the American flag behind him, isn't there? So it's kind of like really, really iconic. And some people might be like, okay, let's get on with it. It's not giving me the date, it's just saying, here's the best, it's giving me updates. Like, for example, FBI focuses on the gunman, update on FBI investigation. Trump arrives in Milwaukee after assassination. That's interesting because I was going to say this. He is going to be making an appearance. So I don't think he's just going to be staying away. It says that he's due. What would that be? A tour of Milwaukee. Trump arrives in Milwaukee. Due to be there on the 16th. So I think by the 16th he will be making an appearance. mean, those of you in America can tell me if he would make an appearance. I don't think he would have made an appearance by the 15th. He could have done. I can't remember what date. It's not bringing me the date. It's saying click on to see the video. So, and they shot the person. Now, some people might be, that's where I understand they shot the person. I don't think there's anyone else that they think it is, but I'm going to go into the energy of that person. But some people might be like, why did they shoot the person? Because they could know more if they kept the person alive and really get to the grounds of it. And now, if this person, what I feel is, he had a pretty good aim, but he wasn't the professional that could do it in a one go, right? So I think you needed to, and correct me if I'm wrong, probably needed to just get to him straight away because there's other people that could be hurt. What I understand, there is maybe a couple of people that have passed away. Imagine standing behind Trump and you're screaming and then a bit of Trump's ear comes in your mouth. That's ooh. But this is where it's really, I mean, it obviously it's sad that there's an attempt to, but then it's really sad for those innocent people that really, you can understand what I'm saying. They're not even the ones in target. I understand that this guy is actually a Republican fan or voter or whatever you say, but then did he donate or something to Democrats or something like that? So I want to actually ask, and while I get in the flow of this, I want to ask, was that on purpose to derail while they're finding? The other thing is, yeah, so several shots. The other thing is there's going to be a lot of pointing fingers. I don't know how in advance this rally was scheduled. So if it was scheduled like 6 months prior, then they could have probably had enough time. I'm not saying that there wasn't. I mean, when you've got a president who's really got a lot of controversy around him, legal stuff, and there's a massive divide of two parties in the US, and it's literally that people cannot sit at the same table. Some people, if they're with one camp against the other. Now, I did a reading on Trump, and if you've not seen it, do check it out, of his conviction. It's not only about his conviction though, it's about what I think truly the US may be feeling if they understood that maybe they would want none of those parties if they could have, because there would be a better option, but there's no better option. So do check that out, because also I think I put a post on the community where the finer print was they might just dismiss I think one of the things, allegations against him, and this is kind of tying in with what I was stating, that you're going to be shocked on a mix of turn, like, okay, so everyone was like, he's a criminal, and obviously disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. There's always that disclaimer, and there's a full disclaimer in the description box. It's my opinion, it's not facts. It's you use your own facts, discernment and research. And so I don't know when that date is for, it's interesting, I want to say dismissing, but I feel like a lot of the stuff where it was like a massive, oh, he's maybe a criminal or whatever and stuff like that, and there's going to be change in that, and you could be like, what the hell was all this hype about, or whatever was being said. So it's all kind of panning out. And then obviously I did that prediction, which I put the post of proof there. So there's going to be a lot around, okay, again, going back to the time frame, I don't know if this was like just booked in a month before or something, and so there's going to be like, we didn't have enough boots on the ground. We'd asked, for example, maybe the Secret Service asked the law enforcement for more resources. They couldn't get more resources, costs, budgets, etc. But if you think about it, someone such a high profile, and everything that comes around with him at this moment in time, he is going to be someone in the focus, right? There's a lot of hate going on from one party to another. And this is not, and I don't mean Biden towards Trump, Trump towards Biden, although they have made hatred remarks. I don't believe this ties in with Biden at all, and I think he needs to be careful. Behind this boy, there is a large organization. That's what I want to say. He was kind of like a patsy. And if anything, in the US, my advice is people come together in unity, because you're not dealing with one side against the other here. You're dealing with a stronger organization that are not in it for anyone, really. There's kind of like psychological overtake of this boy, all right? And this was planned, though. It was planned, and it seemed to be the right point of time. And I feel like it was really meant to happen. So that's why I say, was this rally scheduled only like a month before, or was it like 6 months before? Like if you think of like the royals in the UK, they know kind of like their yearly, they know ahead. And it's like the pop stars as well, when they do concerts, sometimes they're like, yeah, we're touring next year, and it's kind of like whole year after. Or some people that book their holiday tickets, let me know if you're one of them, I can't do it, a year and a half in advance or something. And I'm like, oh my God, that gives me anxiety already. But there's something around that as well, okay? And it was in the state, it was this boy from Pennsylvania as well, because there's something around that. And I also feel like this organization either has kind of a headquarter link in Pennsylvania or something like that. There was signs that were missed, okay? There was signs that were missed. I mean, I say that, but logically, if you think of a roof that's not very far, there was definitely signs. I mean, for Trump's circumstances, for something that's outside, I think it should have even had, you know, higher security of like, you know, not a tent over, because a tent can't do something, but, you know, a shielding over it, even if it's outside, but the shielding of a roof or something. And you would think logically any roofs that are nearby are checked. Maybe they did check them, and maybe he got up after it was checked. But I feel like something is spotted. And when this is spotted, it's kind of like there's talks, but then there's distractions, and then some, like whether it's law enforcement to direct secret services or etc. It's kind of like, yeah, we've checked that. No, have we checked that? You know what I mean? There's kind of like a communication. And I want to say that people were also planted there for means of necessary to step in to cause distraction if needed. Now, I must say something. I know people are going to say that this is not what I want to say, but people are probably saying, was it fake? Was it set up? Was it staged? So, you know, sympathy and more votes. And I don't know if there's donations in this. In the first read on Trump, I got something about more donations. But yeah, so something around more donations here. Like, was it set up on purpose? Like, I mean, even this person, if he was Republican, did he do it on purpose so that it can shake up even the other party? I really don't think you're in the best position as the US, because I don't know who I have in my subscribers. I'm trying to be really sensitive. I come from a neutral place. I'm not pro this, I'm not pro that. And even within England, I limit my voice, because a lot of who step forward end up doing their own thing. They promise something, they do something else. I am happy that it's gone in a different direction this year, and you probably will know, but I'm not so strong on it because it was time for a change this year in the UK. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like overly kind of like opinionated on, especially because I don't know within the US what has been better for the people. But I worry, honestly, if Biden wins, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't because of this, right? Will he be able to complete his 4 years? Because I feel like there's a bit of, and I've said this before, there's a gap in his aura. He's not fully there, and I feel like he might have dementia or like be a bit senile, and he's still going to be around, but there's going to be deterioration of that. And so what you get, is it actually him, or is it maybe his wife helping, etc.? And if he needs to step down, then who would be the next to come in? You need to think of that. Who would be the next to come in? Is that second person, like if your vote would be Biden, but if it wasn't Biden and it was the second person who would come in and you're like, no, I hate them, I can't think of that second person, I'd rather go with like Trump because we kind of know him, or whatever. There's that thought process that I think people need to think of. This boy, Thomas Crooks, I think, he has gaps in his aura. He's probably borderline. I don't want to say he's psycho, but because everyone's going to be, well, duh, he just tried, whatever. No, he's vulnerable. I would say also, do you know when you buy a dog and then you do the pedigree certificate? Or there's a person and you do DNA and they're kind of like, yeah, I'm British. Then when you do the DNA, you find like ancestry of like Irish and Norwegian or Arab and something. And this boy, I felt, was on the border of a bit of a Down syndrome. I don't know how Down syndrome works. Like either you're completely Down syndrome or you like, it gets a bit flagged and then they're born not Down syndrome, but then there's something in them that's kind of like can lean towards that. He's borderline maybe on the spectrum of kind of maybe developing either autism or schizophrenia or something. He's very vulnerable. I believe he would have been really, really bullied. Do you know one of those people that are kind of smart and they're quiet and they're shy and they're an IT geek? They'll be at a school, they'll can't wait to get home because they'll be online and they can probably hack a load of stuff, and their online booths just always on the online, and they get really into really depths of stuff that can then, they feel like they've solved certain stuff. And so what you do is you keep going, you find that motivation, you have that interest because suddenly you're seeing your worth and your recognition. I think he was bullied very heavily. He would have been the kid that is like, yeah, he's a weirdo, that kind of thing. And I think he would have struggled with that. And when I was thinking of this, I was thinking of Rex, right? Rex Huerman. Rex Huerman, I feel, has some repression of who he could be, but I feel like he was made to feel a bit of a failure. Either his dad might have been really rigid, military type, and then his mum in some sort of way. And I'm going to do a reading on Rex. Again, let me know if you enjoy this and on the content that you like, subscribers. So he's kind of like got his chakras really, really open. Like outsider and seen as weird, and I made some notes here. Yeah, borderline, bullied, harassed. You'd see him a bit of a loose cannon, some might say. I feel like he's not he's a bit emotionally stunt as well. And do you know when people form these sort of online organizations and they lure you in, whether it's, for example, we all know it, we all get said, like, if you're not in the level of self-worth, you might attract a partner that's actually going to be a narcissist. It's kind of the prey on the vulnerable. This is what's happened to this boy. And I'm going to get in the cards, but that's what I feel from him. I want to say something else, but I'm gonna hold on. I also feel like because he wasn't a professional, and I could be wrong, there is a trail showing that he was a dangerous person. And I don't know if this is, he had another gun or sniper, and did he have a professional sniper, or was it something different? The people at the Valley, like, wow. When I see that gunshot, and like I said, I think it was more than one, but I've only seen like a quick clip, and then Trump stands up, and I don't think that was fake. I think Trump, because he's quite savvy, he already knows that he's on high guard, or that this could happen. And so what he... Do you know when you're in that situation, there's a lot, I've got a lot of head pressure in my head right now, from my throat to my head, like as if all my blood in my body is at my head and it's about to explode, by the way. It's not a nice feeling. And look at my voice going. So what was I going to say? When something like that happened, you don't feel the pain and you don't feel anything, but there's adrenaline there. And so he stood up straight away. But after he stood up and they're trying to take him away, people in the crowd are like waving, and it's kind of like I would be like, let me get the F out of here, because I don't know if this person's going to continue shooting. But they definitely missed an opportunity of getting this person. So let's get into the tarot. And this organization, all right, it's not only going to have people from the US in it. There is probably other people behind it that are from powerful levels similar in other countries. What can I say? It probably, you know, it's kind of like a psychological operations where they've got this guy, Patsy, to do it. But it's like the DS. Okay, and I was getting those initials, I was like, what is this, before I started? And I actually took me forever to try and find what the DS is. And when I read that, it ties in with what I was getting. So that's why I feel like, you know, the population needs to unite. And this might be done so that you come into unity. And that's how you need to see it. Biden was not at the root of this. So I'll be interested to see from my first read if the case or cases against Trump are going to be dismissed. Let's go into the tarot and just see what happened. See if I can say something else. So first, I just want to ask, the first question I wanted to ask was, what was that question? Did he, because this was planned from their side a lot better, and there's going to be a lot of questions around the Secret Service, and I think Trump will be questioning that as well. You'll have to let me know when he makes an appearance. He's due in Malukawi on the 16th, did I say from my phone? Where is that, by the way? But he will be making an appearance. I also fear for Trump's health, because when you go through so much, like he went through that whole trial and court, I mentioned in my previous read, once you come to a standstill, your health can kind of be at play, because he's no longer in adrenaline and stress, right? So that's something, when things calm down, that he might be subtle to, right? Was this vote, was this donation to the other party, which I think would have been Democrat, planned to deter the person? To deter, like, after this happens, to be like, but he's a Republican, but he donated here, what's that mean, right? Was it planned? Was that planned, please, Spirit? I'm pulling out 3 cards and it needs to show. Okay, so first 2 gives me a no and this gives me a yes. I wanted only 1 card. This card for a yes, it means yes, it was sort of planned to deter ready ahead of this. So I don't know how far ago it was, but, and I think he was with this group for a long time, right? Why would he want to do it? Well, the recognition, not being fully in his right state of mind, emotionally stunned, all the things that I've mentioned that would affect somebody. Definitely a repressed psychosis here. And they prey on you, and it's kind of like, oh my God, you're amazing. If you were to just do this or that. So this is him, okay, and you know, this is him losing his life, okay. He didn't Trump still alive. There was a lot of online stalking in terms of where his movements were going to be. Remember I said the timing of when this rally was scheduled may have differed, and where it was scheduled would have differed, the circumstance of this being an opportunity of circumstance. This tells me that he was the only shooter there. He was the only shooter there. And he could have walked away apparently peacefully. So he could have changed his mind and gone in another direction and not do this, so that it wouldn't result in his end. But there was a heavy burden on him, and obviously he felt he needed to continue. This tells me from the night he was already kind of worked up about it. He was already sort of thinking it, planning out every single step. I think they're going to also find some online stuff, all right, or communication. There were decisions, and there was a time thing. There was a time and there was a decision where it could have gone either way. This could be to do with him turning his back and leaving so that he wouldn't get X'd. But and during the time, there was multiple decisions before what was attempted. And I feel during the evening, there was a discussion on a couple of things to do it in finer detail, yeah, which would be around communication and the resources needed, okay, for him to have. I'm asking a question, so I'm not going to take that. There was someone else at some stage on the roof with him who was actually laid down. And that was a choice for him to have that person there or not. That person was there at some stage who was laid down, and they were in extreme anxiety. And I believe they left before this was done. So I wonder if they're going to actually get anything about someone else. What was the second question I wanted to answer? I do think Trump needs to... This is what I want to say for the people, okay? When this happens, even though it's done from, you know, someone within the US and etc., this gives gap for, think of the top 3 countries that have, and I don't mean the UK, but I'm giving you an example. Think of the top 3, because I can't think of Russia and China, that have like MI6, right? This, and those actually deal with this organization in a way, right? But then they get the patsies. And this sort of gives ideas and gaps to those, let's just say, leaders who have wanted opportunities. And that's why I think there needs to be high level security. And I don't mean that someone's gonna plant a bomb in the US, no. But I do think that that is not far from being in a certain place of one of these people, like leaders that they want to get, right? So I wouldn't have been surprised if this boy had other resources, or other people were there that had other resources somewhere in a van or in a car or something. But there was people planted there when needed to cause distraction. I don't think there was the need for much distraction. I think there was kind of like a walkie-talkie moment. Have you seen this? They got an inkling of something. Have you seen this? I've already been up there. And then it might not have been like, it might have been 15 minutes earlier. So they put it in the clear, and then suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, but I was up there only 15 minutes ago. When did you mean this? And do you know that kind of stuff? Like, there's some kind of breakdown in the best communication. And also, have they got the trained level that's needed for this level of controversy and the person Trump? Or are they just focusing on money, resources, and they've not but the thing is, that wouldn't have taken much to have someone on that roof. So I cannot understand why there was a failure there. There was an absolute failure there. This is not fake though. Yeah, Trump needs to take care. There could be another attempt on him. I think even his wife, I know he's got some children, but has he got someone that's a bit younger than a very grown adult? I think they should travel with security just in case. And he just needs to be on high alert. If he's thinking that this is it and that's done, there could be a possibility of something else. Now, in the past, I've predicted just sliding it in here. that Putin could also have an attempted A at him, and if it is, I felt like it was a woman and it was to be done via like poisoning. And I can't remember if this was in, I think this was in the read I did that has Julian Assange in it, and Palestine and Israel. I believe I mentioned it there. Now going back to this, yeah, there is foreign ties to this organization, but it's mainly out of the US, right? It is mainly out of the US, but do you know when people can be involved in the organization, or an organization that has its own links and quarters in the different countries? So similar to, for example, a DS, but each one has tying into that, but each one has their own kind of either secret service or I don't want to say secret service so you don't think that I think it's them, but their own kind of DS or involvement. And so when it comes to a whole hierarchy of what DS is about, you will find that it's not only the US, okay? Definitely think Trump was going to be like, I wonder if they're going to do action hero figurines. Who remembers the figurines from when we were younger? Should someone else be arrested for this? And by that, I don't mean this organization. I mean someone else that was there at the time when Thomas was doing his thing or whatever. I know I said people have been planted, but I mean a bit more of age. Remember I said there's someone that did come on the roof, was laying down, whether they were doing checks or setting something up for him or helping him. There was something there. Is there someone else? That card is about to go on fire. Then we're going to have a light disaster. Yes, there was, right? There was someone else there in aid. There was someone there else in aid that gave him some more strength. I think this would have also stopped him from coming into a closed aura where he's in his physical body and his soul is there, and keeping him in this state of mind of kind of like what I've mentioned. Shall we see how Trump is doing? With Trump though, I really feel like he needs to be careful, and as well as showing his strength, he needs to be careful with the ego. So during this, it's very difficult. I mentioned in that read before, he needs to be careful about his alliances, and he's going to be feeling very vulnerable about alliances because he's never needed alliances. And right now he needs alliances, but he needs to be very careful on who he trusts, because I think there's someone that might, for their own selfish reasons, do a little bit of a betrayal. Not similar to this attempted, but you understand what I'm saying. So I think he needs to also show his strength, but also be on guard. And I don't know why I'm seeing him walking as if like, I'm here, I'm walking, but his face is like a puppy face, like have sympathy, which is not like him, but that's how I'm seeing him. So I wonder how he's going to actually turn up. Let's see how he's doing. Do you know what? I want to see the energy of this Thomas and see if I get anything else. Because I feel like deciding to let all his burdens go from him, just like he's being a bit of a freebie. This was kind of in challenge, so a lot of stubbornness, a lot of control here, all right? Higher governing control, higher on the hierarchy, so something that was planned. His home is in focus as well here, so I don't know if they, you know, he gave an inkling to his, whoever he lives with, if he said his final buys in a kind of a, it was a final buy, but it wouldn't be enough for you to understand, be like, why is he being a bit weird? There's something about the way he left his house that day. And I think his father was a bit suspicious. His father is somehow, there's something about his father. Yeah, and it just clearly shows that he was going to be, it was coming to his end of time. And he made he made decisions that he could not see clearly of. All right, he just could not see clearly of. Split the deck to understand the father. The devil in reverse. I think the father did something, but not in a meaning of doing it that way, or something around the father. I feel like the father knew there was something kind of weird. What did I just get there on the deck when I said? What is it about the father? And he had to be taken out to balance the situation down. There was also an energy of confusion on who your enemies are, and there was an obstruction in here. And immaturity. And I think his parents knew that he wasn't completely mature or emotionally there, and maybe they had like concerns of the amount of hours. They knew he was something there around his mental health. And he's emotionally stunted. This guy is emotionally stunted. I don't just mean that because, oh, he tried to assess. He tried to and do this whole thing. I don't know why I've just paused. There was a decision, there was a clear decision on this other person that was there. It could have gone whether it was Thomas or the other person that did it. And it was a very challenging decision on who should do it and who should be standing there, because the person will be taken down. So they knew kind of like it was going to be taken down, but there was a challenging decision on this other person that I said was laid on the roof. That was something where they planned it, a part of obviously whoever was at the background of this. So another person could have done this, like part of this as well that was there. But it was a really challenging decision between them who would do it. Who would actually pull, you know. And then yes, it was the devil in reverse, wasn't it, that I wanted to But I'm trying to remember what it was to do with the father, wasn't it? Yeah, the father was a bit blind to something, switching on to something. Not, I don't know intentionally, but there's something about the father there, and I think he's going to be questioned. Okay. I said I won't make this long, but I know that, you know, some of my subscribers prefer the longer videos. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this up tonight, the 15th. Trying to make sure they're all upright. You have to let me know if you're in the US. Do you get like, well, the memes, we're going to get them, aren't we? We're definitely going to get memes that we can see on Instagram, etc. But if you get caps and t-shirts and other stuff going around. I didn't ask was it staged or anything, because I'm just going to go with what I said in the beginning with my downloads. Let's just see how Trump is doing. I mean, he could have been on local channels by now. I don't know how serious this year is. And also, there will be a question on what grazed Trump. Was it an actual pellet, or was it some other thing that was pow, pew pew? What is it that they have? What is the word that they use instead of pew pew? Whilst there was also pew pews happening, what actually grazed Trump? Was it a pew pew, or was there something else they used? I think it was a pew pew, but I think that's going to be a question. Now, how is Trump? How is Trump doing? In the next one, I might do Towering Challenge. He's definitely had a bit of a wake-up call, but he's not fully had this wake-up call. I think Melania, his wife, has. Okay, he's kind of like, he knew he was going to take a risk being there. Like I said, I think he knew that he had to be on high security, and you know, that's why he got up and was like, fight. He's all up for going forward, but I feel like Melania, his wife, is kind of like, I don't know anymore. Like she's had a bit of a shake up from this. And this also says that Trump needs to watch the signs that get given to him. So right now, don't come up with your ego like I was mentioning. Really think of how you need to present yourself so that you're not on the radar for something else. Justice coming into balance here. So there could be a cause and effect that comes up. I think he's definitely going to voice that there should be some justice. A bit of impatient energy with him, all right? So I feel like he's going to be thinking, oh, there needs to be justice in this matter. He's going to be very much on it, and he's a bit impatient. 2 more cards, and then we're going to end it. There's 3 there. We're going to just take... Yep, there's the external conflict that's going on now. Probably a lot of people questioning stuff. I just got really, really dizzy. And my head again. And my throat is closing. Need to be careful about this energy here. rioting stuff coming up. Two more cards. Three of Pentacles. Like I said, he's looking at who his alliances is, who he can trust, really looking at it without even mentioning it. So at the back, front, or, you know, when he's alone, who can I trust? Really putting a spotlight on who he can trust, trying to get those alliances in place and up for the defense. You know, he knows he's not got an easy ride, but he's up for it. And if he doesn't show his vulnerability, he does feel vulnerable. But here, I don't see anything about his health. Like, I don't think you're going to hear that he is resting for a week because, I don't know, he has gone into shock or something. Like I said, I think he will be making an appearance. But don't be fooled about how he's feeling. He's quite restless and impatient about what happened. And he is inside of him, despite putting up a guard, feeling quite vulnerable. And like I said, that's why maybe I could see him. He's walking, he's coming, but in his face you might see like the face that you see like woe is me or sympathy. And I don't want to say woe is me because what he's probably gone through, we forget that he's human. It's frightening. It would have been frightening for everyone in the crowds. And it's interesting, I want to say everyone in the clouds. And that's maybe because a lot of people just stood up and were like, I don't know what they were saying. And I was like, what is that? You know, you guys are also quite courageous. But yeah, I don't see his health being a major concern to him at this moment in time, whether something comes up. So I don't think he's resting. He's going to be making an appearance. This is going on in the background. So if you like this and if it answered some of your questions, please do let me know, and take care. Stay united, stay together. Kindness doesn't cost a thing for us. And I said this for Palestine. When we see that humanity that is in suffering is acceptable, we live in shame. And that can be for any suffering, whether it's some of the cases we do for child, or even the case of like, for example, this person got this done to them, so karma, but they've suffered. That is not the way to go. So, yeah. All right, everyone, I'm going to leave it there. Take care of yourselves and bye for now.